Hello, I'm here for our next Back to the Future recording with our members SugaROx, and I'm here with Bianca and Cara. I think we had SugaROx in one of the REAP startup showcases a while ago. So Cara, Bianca, lovely to see you. Why don't you introduce yourselves and what SugaROx does?
Sure, you go ahead.
So I'm Bianca, Business Development Director in SugaROx, where I help to set up partnerships with go-to-market channels with whom we're going to commercialize our biostimulants.
And I'm Dr. Cara Griffiths. I am the co-founder and chief technology officer at SugaROx. I like to look at how we're going to develop the product, register the product, and see how effective it is.
Brilliant. So tell us, what is the product? I mean, SugaROx has been built on some really very elegant biochemistry. So would you like to just summarize what that biochemistry is and what the product is?
Sure. So we are commercializing a single molecule biostimulant, and it's based on trehalose 6-phosphate, which is a sugar signal in plants. We developed this technology based on about 20 years of research, and we got a usable product that had our first kind of in-planter effects about 10 years ago now. And we've been looking at developing that, taking it from the lab and right into the field in wheat, in arable crops that farms can use.
Brilliant. And as you said, this is built on decades of R&D, which obviously SugaROx didn't do itself, but you're really sort of standing on the shoulders of the giants who did that discovery. Was there anything that was particularly game-changing that led to confidence that you could commercialize this?
For me, I think the game changer was combining the knowledge we have of synthetic chemistry with the power of biology. So that's really where our product stands out. We're taking something that's really extremely biologically effective. T6P is really well known. Everyone knows exactly what it does for carbon allocation and energy use, but it's something that you can't really use in a way that a farmer would. So you can't spray it onto a crop and have it work its magic. It's a very polar molecule. So this is where the power of chemistry comes in. And this is a lot of Professor Ben Davis's work at Oxford University, where he looked at our T6P molecule along with Matthew Paul, who works at Rothamsted, the principal investigator on the work. And they designed a version of T6P that farmers could use. They could spray on using their typical boom sprayers, and that would increase the amount of T6P in the cells. And this is really where it came from and what made it game-changing for us and able to really change the way plants sense and regulate their carbon use without going down a GM route or a GE route, for example.
Sure, because plants are pretty good at managing their carbon sources and sinks, aren't they? And being able to influence that in some way is really exciting. And I don't think has really been done before. It's been done with hormones, but being able to influence carbon, very exciting.
Yeah, it's been a really fantastic thing for us, because when you're looking at source and sink relationships in plants, everyone talks about the source, they talk about leaves, they talk about photosynthesis, and plants are so, particularly wheat, they're so sink limited. They're very inefficient at moving their resources to where we need them. And so by using our technology, we're just boosting that natural process. It's quite exciting for me from the biological perspective.
Fantastic. Now, I know you've been doing a lot of trials across a number of species. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about that? And then thinking about moving it into the hands of farmers, what needs to happen for adoption? What do you think might be the biggest challenge into getting it into widespread adoption by farmers?
Sure. I think I'll touch on some of the plant stuff, and then I'll move to Bianca to talk about the adoption stuff, because this is her area of expertise. But with the plant work we have been doing, because we're a spin out coming from Rothamsted research, we're always going to be focused on wheat. That's our #1 crop over here. So it was very natural for us to move straight into wheat when we're looking at the efficacy of this product. We did a series of controlled environment experiments, glasshouse experiments, ultimately moving into the field. And we're getting huge yield increases in statistically designed, beautiful field trials, all fit for regulation purposes within Europe. Not so much the UK, but I think Bianca might touch on that later. But we're getting fantastic yield increases, anywhere up to 15, 16% across any condition. And it's all dependent on variety and on all of that kind of stuff as well. But this far outweighs any biostimulant products that's coming out of the market now. So we're getting it working really well on wheat, just with one spray during the grain development period. We're developing similar products for other arable crops and also horticultural crops, really targeting that biochemical process in other arable crops like sorghum, maize, barley. We're getting very similar results. We're getting a drought resilience increase as well as a yield increase, anywhere from 10 to 15%. And moving into fruiting crops, they're an entirely different biochemical sort of beast, I'd like to think. And we're really trying to understand how the carbon dynamics work in those crops before we can develop something from there. So we're very science-based. We're very, very science-based at this company, which I think is where all of our power comes from. The barriers of adoption will be tough, but I'll leave to Bianca to answer.
Yes, Belinda, I would say that the biggest barrier for adoption of biostimulants is the lack of regulation. So this is a relatively new class of crop inputs. Biostimulants have been around for 4 or 5 decades, and initially the lack of registration requirements allowed the market to emerge. But now demand has reached a point where key countries around the world have started regulating this space. And to promote further growth of the market for biostimulants in the UK, we do believe that we need a framework that will ensure that the products being marketed for farmers are effective, safe for human and environmental use, and also which certify the composition of those products. That will help to increase farmers' confidence in the biostimulants available to them, and also will send clear signals to investors who are interested in backing up ventures like SugaROx, science-based ventures. So we see that, for instance, in Europe and in other big agricultural markets like Brazil and India, there are new frameworks for fertilizers, which are now regulating the claims made for biostimulants. And there is an indication that DEFRA is considering a similar approach, which would be something welcomed by us. And that will ensure that there are clear rules for all the companies that want to place new products in this space.
Yeah, fantastic. And the UK has always positioned itself as having an enabling regulatory environment. And I think you've issued a very clear call to arms as to what's needed to help ensure that this space is properly regulated and farmers can have confidence in the products that they're buying and applying.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about ensuring that farmers will have access to biostimulants that are effective and safe for the environment and human use.
Yeah,
Sure.
The safety is a really big thing for us. We want to make sure we're producing a product that's not going to poison anyone or anything. So far, so good, by the way.
So I guess looking ahead to the next decade, what do you hope that the SugaROx technology is going to enable? Obviously, yielding, reduction of other inputs. What will be enabled as a result of SugaROx's technology hitting the market?
I mean, for us, we just have such a huge power to increase wheat yields as they stand. You know, the wheat yields that we're getting is really up to 22% in UK fields, which is just outstanding. And this is without any kind of breeding approaches, any crop management approaches. It's literally just using our biostimulant. And so we're going to have a really big power, I think, with biostimulants like ours and others that are addressing all sorts of bottlenecks that will essentially enable plants to become far more efficient than they're actually capable of being. We're sort of teaching the plant to be a lot more efficient very, very quickly. And that's going to lead to reduced fertilizer use because farmers aren't going to have to use as much fertilizer to get the yield out of their products. We're making everything more efficient. Nothing is going to be wasted. And the flow-on effects of these are huge. We've estimated just by using our biostimulant product alone, we get an 11% reduction of CO2 emissions per loaf of bread produced from that crop, purely because we're making them more efficient. We're not adding anything else. We're just making them more efficient. And we are developing more products along a similar line to what we're doing with T6P. So we're targeting different bottlenecks that can work in synergy with T6P or install different effects. So we really can see the technology we're developing has a really broad scope at affecting a lot of common bottlenecks in source sink or perhaps pathology or any other kind of disease that we could really target with the technology we've produced. So I think it's just a new product on the market, single molecule biostimulants. They're hard to come by and they're very powerful. So we think in the next 10 years, this is going to be huge, particularly in context of regulation.
Sure. So sell us the dream, sell us the vision for the future, for the next decade of SugaROx. Every wheat farmer on the planet using your biostimulant, what's the vision? And crucially, how is SugaROx going to be leading the charge into the future?
So absolutely. So the technology that we've licensed from Oxford University and Rothamsted Research is game changing. So we have an opportunity here, as Cara has explained earlier, to target those most critical bottlenecks in plant physiology that can lead to an increase in yield. And the first molecule in our pipeline, this special version of T6P, the natural sugar, is just the beginning for us. And we want to create a pipeline of molecules really founded on science, to deliver a game-changing effect. We are going to deploy a B2B business model because we're building SugaROx to be a science-based venture focused on discovery of new approaches to crop stimulation. And we want to partner with companies that have established distribution channels to sell our products to farmers in key markets around the world. And we see the future of agriculture as being not only technology rich, but also rich in collaborations. So this is where we're going to accelerate the development of the solutions that farmers will need to add to their toolkit over the next 30 years or so. Just plugging in a comment here. So, Agri-TechE is very important in realizing that vision for us, in helping us create those connections and those partnerships that can be really impactful, working side by side with the growers and also the distributors who understand their needs. And also accessing funding to enable these new partnerships to emerge, because we need to de-risk the opportunity for all the stakeholders who have to get behind these ideas, from the investors to the distributors who take a bet on the new approach that we're going to take to market, to the end users themselves.
Well, thank you very much for your very kind words about Agri-TechE. I think it's really exciting, the bio-based solutions for crop management are really starting to have their moment now with the way that agriculture is moving globally. And we're going to watch SugaROx's journey with excitement and as your hopefully partners going forward. So Cara, Bianca, thank you so much for your time. See you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.